Hello and welcome to episode 58 of the Wine Educate podcast. I am your host, Joanne Close. We are continuing on with our Tuesday tasting series. Now, last week I covered Herbaceous, and then I couldn't get Herbal out of my head all week. So now I have to do the podcast on Herbal because they're not the same. They are similar, but they're different. And on your level 3 SAT card, they are in different clusters. So I thought while Herbaceous was fresh in our brain, see what I did there? We would also do Herbal. So first, what is the difference? Okay. When I talk about something herbaceous, I'm referring to green plant matter, the green bell pepper, the grass. When we talk about herbal, these are dried or fresh herbs like mint or eucalyptus. So on your SAT card, level 3, under herbal, we have mint, eucalyptus, fennel, dill, lavender, and dried herbs. Okay, it's kind of vague. I do appreciate that. There are so many things that can fit under that dried herb category. And also, it's not just in isolation, so it's not just dried oregano. Sometimes you get a bunch of dried herbs together. So I am still in France. I finished off our wine tours for the year, which was super fun. And Jim and I, my husband and I, we did a little wine region pub crawl. Because we got in the car and we just popped around. We went to go and see our friend Mario in Piedmont. And then we went up to Val d'Aosta and then over to Beaujolais and then popped down to the Rhône and back to Campbell's End. So it was a lot of fun and really interesting to be in very distinctly different wine regions within such a short period of time. And it struck me that these herbal aromas, these herbaceous aromas, were all around. And in every different region, they had slightly different flora and fauna, and therefore different aromas in the air. Everywhere we went, I was like, we're getting the cheese and charcuterie plate everywhere because the cheeses reflect the flora and fauna just as much as the wines do, right? So you're eating cheeses that were made by animals that are eating these plants that grow in these areas. And it is so remarkable. The cheeses up in Val d'Aosta tasted like fresh, grassy qualities to them, almost like meadow flowers, because these animals would eat these spring plants and make this most gorgeous cheese. And this is reflected in the grapes that are grown in these areas as well. And so then when we were heading back down through the Rhône, landscape changes quite dramatically, and you have all of the garrigue, the dried rosemary, the thyme, the oregano that just grows everywhere. And you get further south and the lavender starts popping up. So let's break it down for each of the ones on your card and how you can go about smelling them. All right, mint. If you can't get your hands on an actual mint plant, maybe some mint tea, and we all brush our teeth, right? Many things are flavored with mint. Now we have peppermint and spearmint. Try to stick to good old peppermint on this, but you can get them in a peppermint candy and so on and so forth. Eucalyptus. And some of you may have wild eucalyptus just growing in your environment. Many of you will not. But they use eucalyptus in so many wellness products that, this is a pharmacy thing. You go to the pharmacy and find a product that has eucalyptus on the label, and you will be able to experience that eucalyptus aroma. Fennel If you have fennel seeds in your kitchen, amazing. Maybe you don't. But another thing that smells a lot like fennel is licorice. Dill, well, we've got pickled, our dill pickles maybe, or if you've got some dill in the garden. I had a gal in my level 2 class. She didn't know what dill tasted like. So one of her fellow classmates brought her a packet of dill-flavored potato chips, which I thought was just so nice. Another example that you can get these aromas and flavors in many different forms. Lavender. Right now I'm in the south of France and I've got a lavender plant just outside my window. And you're like, great, Joanne, good for you. Maybe you don't. Not to worry, because many soaps are flavored with lavender as well. I believe there's these little lavender candies, if you get your hands on some of those. But the soap is probably going to be more of your best bet. And then we have all the dried herbs. And I've had a few students in past classes that were herbalists and studying plants, and their vocabulary for all of these dried herbs was vast. And often they would say something in class, and many students, myself included, would be like, well, what is that? We've never smelled it ourselves, and that's really interesting, but we don't know what it is. It's a less common dried herb. So when we think of dried herbs, we have oregano, thyme, basil, and you can always have a blend of all of them together. So when you stick your nose in a glass of wine, sometimes you think, I smell some dried herbs, but it's difficult to pinpoint exactly which one it is. So this is where I'm really going to challenge you, okay? And this is the fun exercise you can do in your tasting group. Don't go break the bank on buying dried herbs. I'm sure between your group, you can come up with some things in your pantry already. And if one person brings the dried oregano and someone brings the dried thyme and someone else brings perhaps some dried rosemary, you can practice with these and make it a blind exercise where you're smelling them and trying to guess them. There's lots of different dried herbs out there. I don't know how many you can get your hands on, but it'd be fun if you had at least 3, maybe 6 or 7 would be interesting. And then you can see if you can isolate them and identify them. So then the next time you smell a wine from the Southern Rhône, you can think, oh no, I do get dried herbs, but it's the oregano that is really standing out. Because this stuff is all practice. What about some wines that are going to display some of these herbaceous aromas and flavors? Mint is a common one for Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, eucalyptus is a classic note in many Australian wines. So if you get your hands on a good Shiraz, maybe a Barossa Shiraz or a Cab, and see if you can pick out that eucalyptus note. Dill. Now, dill is an interesting one because dill is a very distinct aroma and flavor that comes from American oak, and a wine that is commonly aged in American oak is Rioja. Now, this is an instance where you need to talk to your friendly wine shop owner because there are some Riojas that are being aged in more French oak, and you really want the one that's got the American oak so you can pick out that dill. Like I just mentioned, all those dried herbs can be prominent in wines from the Southern Rhône, also other Mediterranean wines like Languedoc, where I am right now. I want you to do this exercise with your tasting group. Get the dried herbs, smell them, see how many of them you can identify, and maybe get yourself a Rioja or an Australian Cab and see if you can pick out these aromas in those wines. But these aromas and flavors are going to show up in many different wines. And I think by you sharpening your senses, by being able to identify the individual herbs, is really going to help you. One more thing before we jump off the herbal train. We all live in different places. You are listening from many different parts of the planet. You may not have access to some of these things. You may not have them growing in your yard or in your neighborhood. And I really want to state once again that that's okay. Do not beat yourself up if you cannot get your hands on something that smells like eucalyptus, okay? Because take advantage of what you do have in your area, what you can smell. And you may have something really quite random that's not on the old list. That's fine. I want you to make sure you know that, you smell it, and when you smell a wine, you can be like, wow, that is that random plant that's growing in my garden. Great. Wonderful. Use what you have around you, and don't despair if you can't get your hands on some of these things that are on the card. Super. As always, if you want the sheet on this tasting, it's in the newsletter, as are all the past tastings. Anyway, hope you well. Hope you're enjoying the summer. It is Bastille Day as I record this in France, and well, happy Bastille Day. See you next time.